Good morning. Today is Wednesday, March 11th. Daily Spark, Day 70 question. What assumptions about control dissolve when I observe closely? What assumptions about control dissolve when I observe closely? Well, I think it's what we're always talking about here is like control is an illusion. And I think we come to that realization when, well, by many paths, but sometimes it's when we do look really closely at something. Maybe it's like something I've been trying to control, or like it's to me, oh God, let me start over. My brain's going in like a million different directions. It's like, does it want to go down this way, this way, this way, this way, this way? All the ways. Let's just say, for me personally, when I really appreciate like thinking about, wow, control really is just an illusion. There's really no control. It really does take close observation. And the grand, like if you zoom out and you kind of dissociate a little bit from your actual experience and just live in your mind, you're like, of course I can control things. I decide this, I do it. And it has this outcome. Like at that scale, it's like, okay, yeah, I guess you might think you have some sense of control. And then on the tiniest, most zoomed in level, where everything's constantly in flux and there's just a realm of possibilities and probabilities that we're just sort of like moving with and through, it just feels like we might have some sense of influence. Like when I do this, the ripple effect happens outward into many directions. Like I'm going to talk to this person. Oh, and then later they talk to that person, and then they like thought, oh, well, I'll tell them about this conversation I had, or they refer someone to me who I would like. It's like I have no control. Like I wouldn't have thought, okay, control means I have like an intention to have an influence over something, and then in a specific way, and then that comes true. I don't know if I've ever had that happen, but unintentionally, there's been influences happening, and then I don't know, it's just so bizarre. So, on a microscopic level, I feel like there's no control. Everything's constantly in flux in ways that we can't perceive. Like, there's just, okay, let's not go to the quantum realm in this video. Let's just not do that because I don't know enough about it. But I love to think about it. So when I observe closely, I think, okay, I seem to have resistance energy show up when I'm actually trying to control a situation, and that's when I realize I have no control at all. So that's when it's more apparent to me. It's like when I really am like focusing so hard on something that it's almost like I'm actually getting in the way of it actually happening. I've seen that so many times in my life where it's just like, fine, just surrender, give up. There's this like point at which I like just let go, and it's not just a mind thing. It's like a real freedom kind of feeling of like, whatever happens with this happens, and that's okay. I won't have any attachment to any outcome. And it's not like I used to think like back in the day, I'd be like, I just set my expectations really low. And that way, like for me, that was avoidance, and that was a lack of commitment to like, anything. But I would always say like, I'm like the master of setting low expectations. And now I don't think of it like that. It's more like I have hopes and dreams and wishes, and I'll take actions to influence something. Like like showing up every day to do something, but all while also not holding so tightly to what the outcome's going to look like, because I know now I have no idea what the outcome will be. And yet sometimes that trying to know trying to figure out like the best outcome. When I get into that mindset, I recognize it now, like, oh, stop it, silly, that doesn't work, and then it's like loosening the grip again. But sometimes that still comes in like, and then I'm like, no, don't do that. Because that's where it's like the mind wants to figure everything out and have all this control, when really control is like projecting into the future what something's the outcome of something that you do today. And it's like, I have no idea. All I can do is show up today in doing like little actions that feel like they resonate with me, like, okay, this feels right, this feels good, this feels like I'm in alignment with, and even that's hard to describe, but it's an inner feeling, not a thinking. And that's like, okay, show up every day, do these little things, and then they may amount to something. And sometimes you show up and do one big thing and not do it again, and it amounts to something. But it's always like something different than what we can picture. Now, I think some people are probably really good about like envisioning things for their future and like they happen. And I wonder if those people are like really good at meditation and all the things. But it feels like whenever it's coming from here, like planning step by step, figure it out, if there's no room for the element of surprise, is it really the best it could be? And I know that's not what this question is asking, but that's kind of where this question takes me, because I know control is an illusion. And we have to even ask, like, what is control? Like I said, I feel like control feels like a verb. It feels like a really verby noun to have a sense of control. And that's interesting too, that we use that phrasing, like a sense of control, meaning we know control's an illusion, but we can kind of feel like sometimes we have, these senses that I'm influencing something pretty heavily, So even in our language, we know it's an illusion to really control something. Plus, don't you feel like control is kind of one of these feelings, like, I don't want it. Like all of the kind of the dysfunctional things in our history, cultures and wars and politics and all the things where maybe people get into these positions of power to assert some sense of control because they have something in their mind. They think the world should be a certain way. And so like, I'm going to like assert my control. And that goes for both sides, all the sides, doesn't it? Like I was thinking about this the other day, like who in the hell would want to get into politics? Because that means whatever your belief is, and we don't like the words good and bad around here, do we? Because those are a personal, like a subjective, it's like what I feel is good and what I feel is bad. And that's problematic right out of the gate, because there's somebody else on the other side of that coin saying the opposite, right? What you feel is good is what they feel is bad, and vice versa. And that's why we have our systems of government, right? I don't want to get into politics either, but I was thinking about this the other day, like, why? First of all, you can't make everyone happy. Not that that should be your goal, but, or should it? Sometimes I want it to be, but like good, bad, or indifferent, we don't like those words, but like you get into politics because you have a very firm idea of how the world should work and how everyone should conform or believe in that idea. Isn't that problematic, right? As a baseline foundation right out of the gate? Man. And you might get into it for benevolent reasons and then it gets you. So we won't go down that rabbit hole, but I feel like control, like it all comes from here. Like I have a firm vision of what I want to happen in the world, or in my little world, my little sphere, my little relationship, my family, whatever. And it's like, it's almost like doomed at the outset. Wars happen and all kinds of terrible things in history have happened. Control over people is what I mean. So it's like, and when we feel that showing up in our personal lives, when we feel that, oh man, they're not doing what I want them to do, or they're doing all the things I don't want them to do. It's like we have this preconceived idea of like how things should exist and be. And that to me is problematic right out of the gate. It's like, wait a minute, why do I feel that way? Why is my idea the right idea? So anyway, that's where it takes me. It's like, oh God, I don't even want a sense of control anymore. I just don't want it. I just want to be like, like it feels gross and cringe and problematic, you know. So what assumptions about control dissolve when I observe closely? That's what happens is my assumptions about control kind of go between these like feelings of, oh, there's really no control. There's just the sense of control that feels like it goes to very problematic, big, dramatic, problematic places pretty darn quickly, both within ourselves, like, oh, frustration when it's not going our way, and then just like power over versus power with. I just got all the chills on that one. So control is like one of those very heavily verby words. It verbifies everything. And I feel like that's what our brains do. Our brains like to verbify things. Like we're such doers, aren't we? Man, this takes me in a lot of fun places. What about you? Tell me. I don't know. I was just thinking about like even doing these videos feels a little bit verby, you know, like even exploration through curiosity is like a verb. And it's like, but it's also like, it's one of the things I was talking about, showing up each day with like an intention to inquire into things that make me want to break open more, and then letting go of like, I don't know what's gonna come of this. I might just shut it all down one day when it feels like it's run its course, you know. But now I don't feel like it's not building towards something or amounting to anything, and I kind of love that. It's just sort of like showing up every day and asking a question. And then I also ask, is that too verby? Like, is it trying too hard? I don't know. But I'll keep doing it till it doesn't feel good. Yep, bye.